unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
Hey, what's going on, boys and girls? Hello for this special broadcast of what would normally be called the Raw and Unscripted show, but today it's just a special broadcast live from me, Christopher Rausch, coming out to you guys, sharing a very special, important day in my life. And I'm going to take more opportunities to do these things with you guys because I want to share more of my life and share more of the story of what has made me become the man I am. And obviously, one of the central figures in my life is my mother. Of course, you hear me talk about her a lot. And in this special broadcast, what I'm going to do is I just wanted to provide an opportunity just to share a little bit about you, a little about her with you, because I tend to paint a negative story about her. I tend to paint, all the different trials and tribulations that we went through. And there's a lot of negative feedback on that. But what my purpose and intention is really here today is to honor my mom. Today would have been her 79th birthday. Today is her birthday, July 29th. She was born in 1942. What's up, Lynn Serrano? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. So yeah, she would have been 79 years old today, and she actually passed away 10 years ago in a couple of days. She actually died 10 years ago on July 31st. She made it to her 69th birthday. She kept asking me, when's my birthday? And she made it to her birthday, and then she passed away a couple of days later. So I felt a calling earlier this morning to say, you know what, I'm going to do a special broadcast. So I threw together a video of some pictures of her and me together and just wanted to share that with you because, one of the most important factors for my success is the fact that I have learned to understand my mom, and I've learned to forgive and have empathy for the situations that she's been through that created the person that she was. And the ultimate fact is I'm sitting here in front of you guys today, and I'm pretty darn successful, and I'm pretty darn happy. And so I want to share that with you because as we go through those emotions, as we go through those situations that we look back on that sometimes define our beliefs incorrectly, we have an opportunity to shift that perspective. We have an opportunity to modify our mindset to be able to say, hey, listen, how can I see this differently? And how can I see this impacting me differently moving forward, right? We can't erase the past, and I don't want you to erase the past, but what I want you to do is take a shift in your perspective and be able to say, okay, listen, how can I understand so-and-so just a little bit better? What would happen if I walked through their shoes, through their life? How would I be more like them? And that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to be sharing a video with you. And as a special little bonus, I'm going to be sharing a little bit of what I've written already in the book, which I'm writing about my mom's life, my mom's life, called It's Just You and Me, Kid. And it's something like a story or a journey of a mother and son. I might read you part of that, but I'm definitely going to read you a little bit of the book and share just a little bit more of my life with you and some of the lessons that I've learned as a result of my mom being a part of my life, a huge part of my life. So I appreciate you here, whether you're here live or watching this on replay. And another intention, really honestly, to do this is to leave this piece of history for my son. God forbid anything should ever happen to me. I always want him to know what my mom was about, because sometimes we don't think to record those things, and then somebody passes away, and then you're like, those stories are gone forever. So that's another part of my selfish little greed in this, is that my son can go back and say, what was my dad's mom like? What was my grandma like? Because, as much as she was a pain in the ass and, drove me to the end of my wits, she also provided me a lot of opportunities to grow and to become a strong man that I am today. So, I just want to share that with you. And, just really what we want to do is take the opportunity to heal. That's been one of my biggest messages right now, is for everyone in the world, the spinning blue marble in the outer space, right? Spinning blue marble in outer space. We take shit so seriously. I wish everybody, and my hope is for everybody, that we all take a look within and we say, how can I heal some of this hurt? Because we know hurt people, right? So how can I heal some of this anger? Why am I so angry? I was just watching a great interview last night with Tom Bilyeu and Lewis Howes. And Lewis was saying, I had all this anger in me and I just didn't know what it was, right? So he did the discovery. He went into the darkness to figure out what it was so that he could heal himself, become a stronger person, and help influence other people, right? And also correct his life and be able to correct some of the stuff that's holding him back. So that inward journey starts with us. That inward journey starts with the awareness to say, listen, I know something is up, and I'm going to either choose to accept it or change it in this moment so I can actually figure out what I want to do more. And that's something that I learned from my mom. I learned a lot of great lessons, and I'm going to be sharing those with you here in just a few moments. But I'm going to play you a video that just, it's a short video. I just threw it together so it's not all Hollywood style and anything, but it just will give you a glimpse into the life of myself and my mom. And then I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about some of the pictures and share a little bit of the story. So without any further ado, my mother, Meredith Samantha Blake, I honor you, I love you, and I appreciate you in my life. Here's to you.
Hi, it's me. It's like after 5:30, and I haven't seen or heard from you, so hope everything's going well with you. Would you give me a call or please come by? Getting worried about you. Hope everything's going well with the fence, but I'm getting worried. So give me a call and let me know how things are going so I know that you guys are okay. All right? And I'll talk to you later. Love you.
And there you have it. There is a short video story of the story of my mom and myself through what was a very traumatic and very exciting adventure that has, like I said before, created the man that's sitting in front of you today, which I'm very, very proud of. And, to honor her and in thinking about all the stories I've told, like I said before at the beginning of the show, all the stories I've told about her are very, bad. Let's just be honest. Picking your cats over your son, picking cigarettes over your son, putting your son in situations. I mean, there was so many different aspects of it that it would be easy for me to be bitter. It would be easier for me to be to have left. And there's plenty of times where I could have left, but I didn't, because I knew the right thing to do was for me to be the man that I knew I was coming here to Earth to be. And as a result of that, it's created an amazing life for myself. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because it's often the times that I talk about her, and it's not really, you don't get to know her. So that's what I want to take this opportunity to do today. So again, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, or perhaps this will be a special bonus edition of the podcast, I appreciate you, because this truly is from the bottom of my heart to set the record straight a little bit on the whole story of her and what's going to be in the book. It's Just You and Me, Kid, which like I said before, I'm going to read you a little bit of that. So I'm going to attempt to go back here for a second and just talk about that picture right there. That picture right there is one of my favorites. Unfortunately, it's very grainy because it's an old photo and it was in various places over the years. So I'm glad it looks that good. But my mom was a very beautiful person. She was a very driven person. She was a very determined person. She knew what she wanted when she wanted it, and she had no problem telling you about that. There's so many different stories I could tell you about that are quite funny. But obviously, she's a very beautiful woman, and I just saw her when I was younger. I just saw her as the most powerful being in the world. It was like I just wanted nothing but her attention. I wanted her validation. I wanted her acceptance. I wanted her love. I wanted to be number one in her life. But due to the very psychological factors and the indulgences that she partied in, that wasn't necessarily the case. But I know she loved me, and I know without a doubt that she wanted the best for me. And at one point, actually part of the journey is that the title of the book, It's Just You and Me, Kid, really was because she was going to place me for adoption. But when the nurse delivered, when I was delivered, they asked her, "Do you want to see the baby?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." And they placed me on her chest, and that's when she looked at me and she says, "Oh shucks." She goes, "I guess it's just you and me, kid," because at that point, my sister, who was older than me, was already living with her dad, and they were already divorced. So my mom was on welfare, and she was going to place me for adoption, to try to get back on with her life. And she decided to keep me. So for that, I'm forever thankful, because I don't know what type of life I would have had, and this is the life I was supposed to have. So end of story on that. So yes, a very, very powerful woman, very beautiful woman, powerful, determined, and relentless. Those are some positive adjectives that I could definitely use from her, because I can describe myself in the same way. So most definitely with that. In the next picture, let's see, we got the next picture is this one, Daddy's little girl. One of the biggest lessons that I learned is really in trying to understand her, in trying to figure out why she did some of the things that she did, and really trying to have empathy and forgiveness for her, because for a long time I didn't. And I sat there and I thought, okay, back to when, where we start, right? And I always knew that she was always doing the same thing I was doing. In retrospect, she was always trying to get her dad's attention. "Dad, look at me. Dad, look at me. Look, I went into the same profession that you went into. Look, here's what's going on. Look at me." And she would go out, and then she would also get negative attention. I mean, there was no shortage of negative attention, definitely with my mom. But as well, at the same time, she was one of the first women allegedly that brought a major lawsuit to a large corporation here in Southern California, the Mattel Corporation, because she allegedly wasn't not allowed to wear pants onto the manufacturing shop floor. And that was back in the late 60s. And apparently she was one of the first women that filed a lawsuit against the corporation, because she's like, I don't give a fuck what I wear. I just want to go out there and do my job. And so she was definitely like that, but she always wanted her dad's attention. And unfortunately, when my grandfather did pass away, here's one of the big life lessons that my mom found out about, because she was pretty much the black sheep of the family. My grandfather had written her out of the will. Before he died, he didn't have her included in the will. And the sad part is the same thing happened with her mom. So, and seeing that dynamic later in life, and seeing how that impacted her from that being that little girl, I could see totally. And now in retrospect, she was a crushed little girl her entire life, and she never, ever got the validation or acceptance from her parents. And that sucks. And that sucks, because you sit there and we hope, wish, and pray for that all the time. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen, that all of that stuff comes from within inside. That comes from forgiveness. That comes from empathy. That comes from looking at the gratitude in our life and being able to say, hey, those terrible experiences happened for me because they created the person that I could become from them. And that's definitely a choice. So I love that picture. That's my grandfather. Rest in peace. He was one of the positive influences in my life. And when we became homeless, he actually wanted me to come live with him. He was going to put me in school. He wasn't wealthy, but he was financially stable, definitely. And, just a great, great man. He just taught me so much. And I have another picture I'm not going to show you, but it was another picture that I came across. Was I had my grandparents over for Thanksgiving dinner shortly before my grandfather passed away. And it was one of the great, great pictures that I saw. And I just didn't want to overload you guys with pictures, but I love my grandfather. He was an amazing dude. And I wish I could have conversations with him now as an adult, but I know that conversation's coming up sometime in my journey. Let's just say that. So here's to you, Grandpa. Thank you so much. And he was just an amazing help in our lives too. I mean, he did so much for us. Without him, God knows what would happen to us. So yes, definitely honor him. And here's, so we had Daddy's little girl, and now we have Mommy's little boy. So you start seeing a pattern. When I look back on my life, I definitely see that pattern, because I did the same thing she was doing. That was repeating the behaviors. It's like, okay, this is what you do. This is how we get attention. So it's interesting when I look at this picture, look at the faces. It's almost, it's almost like we have the same faces. You don't see any happiness. You don't see any love. You don't see any hugging and stuff like that. And I say often that I would love to see the first 5 years of my life, because as we know, if we're not held and we're not cuddled, then, we grow up to be a little bit neurotic, kind of like I am. And also I found out that ADHD and ADD is a result of not having attention when we're younger. So we constantly are looking for things to keep our attention. Otherwise we'll have our thoughts and then we'll feel alone. So that's kind of crazy too. Read Dr. Gabor's book. I can't remember what it is, but message me and I'll let you know. But Dr. Gabor, it's about attention deficit disorder. It explains it brilliantly. So yeah. And I love my mom. I mean, she was such a powerhouse. I went everywhere with her. She drugged me everywhere. We were on welfare. We took the buses. We hardly had a car sometimes. And, every once in a while we would get French fries, or she would give me lifesavers. And, it was just like a little treat. And it was just like this, I was on this crazy adventure most of my life. And as a kid, for a lot of it, it was kind of fun, but unfortunately it wore on me. That's for damn sure. And so let's see, what's our next picture here? Yeah. So special memories. This is, oftentimes my home life was very chaotic, traumatic, devastating. There was physical violence between my mom and me. There was physical violence between my mom and her boyfriend, who ultimately became her husband. There was my sister and her erratic behavior. Then my stepfather's son came and lived with us for a while. That was craziness. So my mom really did try on special occasions, and she did a great job of making up for it. So there were times where I think for a couple of years in a row, we went to Disneyland. So she would save up money and she would do stuff at work, paper drives and stuff like that. So we would get tickets to go to Disneyland. And when I look back on the Disneyland pictures that we have, it was just so great. It was really just, it sets out of my mind and it washes away a lot of that negativity, because, for what we do negatively that we don't really intend on doing, but we're doing the best we can in those moments, those times that we make it up, that's genuine. That's intentional. That the other stuff isn't necessarily intentional. It's just a byproduct of just being absent-minded or not thinking or not caring. But in this situation, they're intentionally saying, okay, what can I do to make it better? It's like, I know I've been a bitch, but now I need to make it better. And she did a really good job of that, on special occasions, on Christmas, on birthdays. She really tried to do over and above to make up for, some of the other shit that we were going through. So Disneyland was great. We got to go there. And in retrospect, in another picture that I'm going to show you, I understand why she wanted to go to Disneyland. And I understand why it was so much fun for both of us to go to Disneyland, which I'll tell you about here in a second. So yeah, definitely special moments. This picture is taken inside of the famous Motel Siesta 7 that I talk about a lot in my story. And it was one of the few pictures that we had because we didn't have a camera. I don't know how I got this picture, but she's actually holding a cat, but because of the way the picture's taken, I had to show it like this. But it was just a situation where we were homeless, where for a long time my mom did not clean herself up. She didn't put makeup on. She didn't really brush her hair. And this was one picture where she had to get dressed up, or she had to go do something, and she had to look really nice. And if you remember the first picture that I showed you, I had not really seen that version of my mom in many, 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 many years. Right. So we were homeless from the age of 13 to 17, at least I was. And this picture was probably taken, I don't know, maybe I'm 16 years old or something like that. So, for three or 4 years, I did not see her looking very good at all. So this was a picture, and I think I borrowed somebody's camera. I can't remember what it was. And I took this picture because I'm like, oh my God, my mom actually looks pretty again, And I thought at that point, I just wished so much that we could get out of that situation and we could go back and she could actually get the life that she deserved. And that's what we worked so hard to do for a long time as a pair. We were a team. It was like, okay, you take care of the motel grounds and get a little bit off the rent, and I'll go out there and get jobs because, you and jobs don't mix. That was basically the strategy. But I just remember this picture, and she was so powerful. I mean, she used to walk everywhere. She got a job at Sears, back when Sears was here. And we were staying in this motel. We had a few nights at a motel, and she would walk to Sears, to South Coast Plaza. I kid you not, it was probably over 5 miles each way, at least, probably even 10 miles each way. She would walk there and back by herself in the dark. And I mean, she walked everywhere. If we needed food or something like that, and we didn't have bus tickets or the car wasn't running, she would walk. I mean, one time she walked from Anaheim to Huntington Beach or something like that to get food and walked back. So the woman was tenacious. I mean, she didn't stop. And that's one definite component that I've taken from her, is the fact that, I just don't stop. She was not like, okay, let's sit here and think about it. She's like, no, we're going to go do this. We're going to do this. She was very decisive. She was very action oriented and very results oriented. Like, what do we got to do to get this happen? And we're not going to stop until we get it done. So I took that from her, and I appreciate her so much. But this is one of the last pictures that I remembered where, she looked younger and she looked like she still had a little bit of hope. But if you look at the picture on her face, she's kind of like, yeah, because things got worse after that. That's for sure. So let's see what else we got here. Okay. So I'm having to jump pretty quick because I didn't want to bore you guys with 11-minute video, but so through that homeless situation, and when I left when I was 17, as you guys know, my mom went through a pretty traumatic experience after that because she hated me. She tried to have me arrested, and there's all this good stuff. But afterwards, when she became self-dependent again, when she got a job and we was able to get a car, we ultimately became friends. And that's a crazy situation because I remember one time she called me up and she goes, and she knew I liked heavy metal and hard rock and everything else like that. And she's like, "Who is this?" And so we started playing this game. She would play something over the phone and I would like name that tune. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's Iron Maiden, Trooper," something like that. And so she started getting into hard rock at the age of 50, which was crazy. So we started going to concerts. She got into Metallica. She got, all the hard bands. She met Ozzy Osbourne. We were in a mosh pit together with my girlfriend. She was just crazy. So the KNEC thing that she's holding right there is from the Pure Rock station that was back here in Los Angeles way back in the 80s and early 90s, I think, if that. But yeah, she just loved it. And so we developed this friendship. We started going to concerts together and hanging out, and it was really kind of fun. It was a great experience for a while. And she was actually healthier and happier. So although her hair is still back in the thing and she didn't wear it up, she started wearing makeup again, and she started, getting cleaner and taking care of herself, and she got a job. And so, like I said, just determined. Unfortunately it took me dropping the entire world out from underneath her feet. Literally everybody abandoned her in her life, including me at that point. And I say abandoned, like I left, but I still went back to her every night and helped her and gave her money. But that bottom is what it took for her to get her shit together and then really get her shit together to the point where she became ultimately successful. And she always said, I'm not going to stop until I get a 4-bedroom house with a pool. And we're going to get to that picture in just a second. But yeah, she's just an amazing, driven person. Again, not without still, even in these days, right up until the day, not even the day she passed away, but right up until a few months before she passed away, even during these times, it was a different type of chaos, which is going to be written again in the book. It's Just You and Me, Kid, because it wasn't just when I was homeless. Not all the shit that I went through with my mom was not just when I was homeless. That's for damn sure. It literally continued up until, like I said, a few months before she passed away. So I'll be writing that in the book. So yeah, I just love this picture because she seemed happy and life was good. And, you got to capture those great moments, right? You got to capture those great moments. So, okay, here, and speaking of great moments, as you guys know, I dropped out of the 7th grade and went back and got my GED. And I can't remember which graduation this is. I think this is my master's degree graduation back in 2000. And I was just so proud. Unfortunately, there's a positive and a negative side to this story because I had to literally threaten her to come to every one of my graduations, my associate's degree graduation, my bachelor's degree graduation, and my master's degree graduation. Had to threaten her. Fortunately, she did show up because I'm like, "Mom, I'm graduating college. I've been going to school since I was 18 years old. I literally dropped out and then went back, got my GED when I was 18, and got my master's degree when I was in 31, I think it was. Yeah, and so I had to get her there. But anyway, it was a defining moment in my life just to have this picture because it was like the team, she was doing her thing. I was doing my thing. We were still, hanging out and doing stuff together, but, we were both unstoppable. I was continuing to do my stuff and she was, ultimately going to get her 4-bedroom house with a pool. So, there's all sorts of great opportunities when you have to make those tough decisions that we both thrived from those tough decisions. So I think that's important to note. And, yeah, so this one is titled Family, the Last Picture. And I was hesitant on putting this in here, but fuck it. This, as you guys may know, I talked about my sister before. I did not know her from the age of when she left the house before we became homeless. She was 16 and I was 9. And she said, "Sorry, baby brother, I got to get out of this. I can't take mom anymore. She's batshit crazy. Good luck, so long. Have a good time." Literally, I was 9 years old. 9 years old. Did not see her again. I found her through People Search when the internet started coming around, and I found out that she actually lived 1.5 miles away from me on the other side of the freeway here in Riverside. Blew my mind. I'm like, holy shit, she lives 1.5 miles, could have gone to the same grocery stores and whatnot. So ultimately connected. And unfortunately through that process, I learned a lot of different things. I learned that, you could hate somebody to death and turn out exactly like them in every way, shape, form, or fashion, which is very interesting when you look at the pattern of what was going on in our family. I broke the pattern. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. So I broke that pattern. Unfortunately, my sister went down a different path. My sister went down a different belief path, that she blamed my mom for everything that happened in her life, and ultimately just wound up being exactly like her. And unfortunately, when I got us back together and I was able to reunite the family, which is something that I always wanted to do, I'm like, okay, now we're older. I'm older. We can do this and be cool. Because I never knew my biological father. Apparently, I have a brother and a sister out there somewhere from his family. So it's just crazy stuff. And I think this might have been Thanksgiving. As you can tell, I'm still doing this. This was back in, I think, 2005, still wearing my hat on backwards, although I had more hair back then. So I just didn't make it up yesterday. I've been wearing a hat on backwards and wearing bandanas and doing that shit. I just combined it all at once. So yeah, this picture was cool. I'm happy about this picture because it showed my tenacity and wanting to bring things back together, but also showed my strength in being able to wish people well that weren't conducive to my journey. So unfortunately, I had to wish my sister well, and I still wish her well. I hope she's doing amazing. I hope she has an awesome life. Sometimes people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and that doesn't make that bad. That just makes that a learning opportunity to say, hey, listen, that was a great experience while it lasted, or that was an educational experience while it lasted, and now here's what I'm doing, and I'm moving on. Because people come into our lives for roles. They come in to teach us different things, and it doesn't mean you have to hang on to that person just because they potentially share blood. I've got way more family around the world who have my back that I've never even met in person. So that tells you something about blood. So if you're hanging on to people, or if you're letting people hang on to you that aren't serving your greatest purpose, you might want to wish them well. But again, still appreciative and still love seeing that picture that happened. But yeah, as the journey goes, life goes on. So like I was saying before, this picture is very interesting. So as my mom is aging and everything, and she has this picture with this Wolfie, when she got this Wolfie, this was a Build-A-Bear Wolfie. When we went to Build-A-Bear in the Tyler Mall Galleria out here in Riverside, my mom became a different person, and she always did that before. But as I started studying child psychology, and as I started more studying the fact of how it is that we become who we are based on our childhood, she became 4 years old. And she would tell me, she goes, I'm 4 years old. She would tell me all the time, I'm 4 years old. I'm like, no, mom, you're fucking old. You're not. Stop it. Stop. You're not fucking 4 years old. Stop that. Stop blaming. Take responsibility for life. Get the fuck up. Right. And I remember saying that. And I was like, shh. However, when you go back to that first picture, the second picture, daddy's little girl, what happened when she was 4? Her dad and her mom divorced. And what happened after that? Dad was non-existent, except for on special holidays, special occasions, and also when she needed help. But her perception was that he was gone, and now she was left with her mom, who was not the very nicest person. Let's just say that. There'll be stories in the book. I have to be careful about all that. Of course, I don't think any of my family's living. I know Uncle Dave is probably watching this. He is one of my last living relatives, but I won't go into that story. So thank you for watching, Uncle Dave. He knew my mom, definitely. And so where was I? So 4 years old. So as that part of empathy and that part of understanding in my life, to seek to heal myself, I had to go back and say, okay, 4 years old. She went through a lot of trauma at 4 years old. She was actually, I think she graduated high school when she was 15. She was at UC Santa Barbara by the time she was 16. I have papers in the other room where she wrote analysis on Shakespeare at 15 years old on a typewriter that sounds like it came from somebody who studied it for 25 years or something like that. It's crazy. I'm going to put part of that in the book. It was like, whoa. And I always thought she told stories because my mom could tell stories for days. She was a race car driver. She was an actress. She was a model. She was all these different things. And there was no way she had performed. She could have been it. So I thought she was lying about this. But after she passed away and going through her papers, I was shocked to find out. It was like, you told the truth. But what that tells me is how much my grandmother pushed her to become this academic robot instead of becoming a fucking person. She wasn't allowed to socialize. She wasn't allowed to go on dates. It was all homework and stuff like that. And granted, my grandmother gave her the best of the food to make sure that she had the nutrients to have the brain power. And my grandmother didn't eat very well. But hey, when you go back and you try to understand somebody, 4 years old, she had stuffed animals all around her. She always had cats around her because cats, what do? They give you unconditional love. They're always there and they need you and they love you, right? I get it. I have cats. We just got 2 kittens. Guess what? I come home. I know there's love there. Irregardless of anything else that's going on, I know there's automatic love right there. Who does not like that? Especially a 4-year-old, right? Think about that. Think about your parents. Think about loved ones. Think about people where they're stuck in their journey and what age they might be. And then talk to them like that. Talk to them like that. There's a whole thing about that, whether they're the teenage rebellion kind of stuff, there's all sorts of documentation on that. It's really, really cool. So, and look at the innocence. Look at the innocence in her eyes. It's crazy. So, I respect her and her passion for sticking to what she wanted to do. She didn't care. If you didn't like her stuffed animals, fuck you. You didn't like her cats, fuck you. She stood her ground and she had no problem letting you know how she felt. Which is something that I've gained as well, but I've learned how to filter that quite well, thank God, for the most part. But it's been a lot of work. So when we think about undoing some of the programming and the conditioning that we've been exposed to, that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And that's something that does not go away. That does not go away. When somebody says something, my immediate voice says something that's not nice. I'm just telling you, for the most part, it's not nice. But then I sit there and go, okay, yeah, okay, gotcha. So once you become aware and you realize, okay, is that the intention of what it is that I'm about to say? Is that what I want? Do I really want to hurt this person's feelings and make it feel like an asshole? Or no. Here's what you're trying to say. Okay, that was just a reaction versus a response. So yeah, 4 years old. And once I started realizing that, I started treating her more that way, and it helped out the relationship. So there's another bonus for you as well. So what picture we have next? We have some, so we had daddy's little girl, we had mommy's little boy, and this is mommy's little doggy. Pure love. My mom loved this dog. This is outside her trailer. We bought her a trailer, and so she lived in a 30-foot trailer after she lost that 4-bedroom house, by the way. She had that for about, I think, 7 years, and then she lost it. Unfortunately, that's another story. It's a main thing in my book as well. That was a very, 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 very fucked up situation that caused me a lot of stress, and almost cost me my life, I think. But anyways, this is later on in life. This is towards her later years, after she retired and couldn't get a job anymore. And that's her dog. And she absolutely loved that dog. It was so sad how much they loved each other, how much they were connected to each other. And unfortunately, I wound up taking ownership of the dog and took care of him, and actually was right there up until the day he passed away as well. So I just love that because, she had her little family. And for a while, she did fine on Social Security. It was very hard for her, but she had her little home. She had her dog. She had her cats inside the trailer. She had her little routine. She had her friends, and she was happy until you start neglecting your health and everything. So this is called The Long Road. This was after The Long Road started. But yeah, essentially this is a picture of us outside of UCI Medical Center here in Orange County, California, or down in Orange County, California. And this is a crazy picture because my mom found out we were transferred here from another hospital because they could not do anything for her very, very necrotic leg. And if you don't know necrotic, go look it up. But basically her leg looked like it was barbecue because of arterial insufficiency. So she had femoral bypass surgeries in her leg. It was just this long story. So we took her to UCI Medical Center, and they said, well, maybe we can save it. Maybe we could do this stuff. Unfortunately, the doctor came in and told me pretty quickly, he says, Chris, your mom has to have her leg amputated tomorrow. Like, if she doesn't, she'll die. There's so much opportunity for her to get infected and die. She has to have her leg amputated tomorrow. And I remember this. I was like, what the fuck did I just hear? I'm going to have to tell my mom that she's going to have to, what? And she'd already been through so much before that. I mean, we're talking months and months and months and months up until that point. Hospitals and emergency rooms and ambulances and all sorts of stuff. And I turned around and I told her, and she screamed. She cried. She screamed and she cried so hard. No. Years of regret, guttural screaming of regret. I can only imagine. She wouldn't admit it at that time. But so we finally got her to agree, sign the papers. I got the conditions. She said she would sign the papers if they would let her go outside and have a cigarette and see her dog. My mom, and they were like, nope. But again, relentless, unstoppable, committed. We got it. I walked out there, and I was the negotiator for like the last 2 years in all these hospitals and rehabilitation places. Okay, guys, walk out the door. Okay, listen, here's what's going to go on. She's not going to do this, and it's going to get really ugly and scary. So I will sign whatever you need me to sign. I just need to take her outside. My wife's going to bring up the dog. We'll do this thing. We'll go back up here. We'll be good. Right. And so we don't do this. And so, yeah, got her in a wheelchair and took her outside. She had a couple of cigarettes. My wife graciously drove the dog up to the hospital, and we had a few moments out there. And, you know, as messed up as it was right then, you know, it was still, there we are, mother and son, you know, the dynamic duo trying to figure things out, because we never stopped. It was like, all right, figure this out. And granted, it put me through a lot and put my wife through a lot, but at the same time, that's what makes us stronger, because I'm way stronger for having gone through that experience. I'm looking at the picture right now. And god damn, was that a fucked up experience. Ooh, yeah, it was. But at the same time, I was there to provide joy. Her dog was there. And as you can see, without any teeth or anything else, she's still smiling. She's trying to smile. She didn't smile much, but she's smiling right there to kind of just acknowledge the fact that, hey, you know, I got my dog and got my son, I guess, and got my cigarette. So yeah, cigarettes. So yeah. And then we got warrior and game changer. Those are kind of like the real adjectives that came to my mind as I was putting this together. This is near the end of her journey, probably a few months before. I had her over to the house, and I don't know, maybe a month or maybe 2 months. I'm not really good at dates, but as you can see, you know, there's a lot of concern in her eyes. There's a lot of regret in her eyes. Sadness, of course. One of the most poignant, I guess, times in our life, aside from the traumatic and crazy stuff, was about 2 months before she passed away. I think it was. She had been in the hospital. Her cancer had metastasized. She got lung cancer, by the way, lung cancer. So she had the lung amputated. She got lung cancer. And then she had a metastasization on her back that grew out. I have pictures of it. It's like this big thing that grew out of her back. I don't know how she did that either. Had that cut out, survived the surgery. And then we were in the hospital, and I had my back to her, and I was doing something in my backpack, and she was in the bed, and she says, "Tell Barbara it's not worth it." And I said, "What?" So what do you mean? Tell Barbara it's not worth it. And I knew what she said when she said it. And I was like, after all these years, all the defensiveness, all the rhetoric, everything else, now you finally get it. Your choices over this period of time have caused you to be in this situation. And now, out of pure love, she says, "Hey, if I can help one other person, let me do that," which I thought was a beautiful moment. So yeah, she was a warrior. She was a game changer, and just an amazing soul. I mean, taught me so much. And you know, I left it with this last picture, because when I say moments and unstoppable, this is in that 4-bedroom house, and this is in that pool. Granted, when she moved into the house, the pool was not, she never went in the pool except for, I think, once or twice in the 5 or 7 years that she lived there, but she wanted to have it. I understand that, because I'm the same way. But this was actually an event where I came over to her house. We barbecued in her backyard. We had music playing in the backyard, Motley Crue, Metallica, whatever she was into at that time. And she got all these pool toys, brand new. We blew them all up. The pool was filled full of toys, and we were swimming around. And this is the shot that I took of her, that where she was almost smiling. And it was like, when after she passed away, I looked at this picture and I was like, wow, this is like, you know, you imagine somebody in heaven or something like that. You think, what was their happy moment? Where's their happy place? I'm like, she finally got it. She finally got into her pool. She finally did it. She had all her animals all blown up, and my throat is like, I've been talking too much, so don't think I'm all teary-eyed of shit. Yeah, I'm just talking a lot. Actually, I got to do a show here in an hour and a half. So yeah, when I looked at this picture, it's an epitome of the road traveled, right? Granted, this is before all the other stuff happened, but when I choose to think of my mom now, I think of this picture. I think of her being happy. I think of her being successful and the things that she stood for, her morals, her values, her ethics. Granted, it got her a lot of shit in life, but she did things her way. How many times do we do things our way? How many times do we do things everybody else's way? And we're so frustrated because we don't think we have a voice in the situation. We don't. So I love that picture. And I don't know if you got a chance to read this, but this is a quote in case anybody's listening to this on a podcast later on. It says, quote, "What we once enjoyed and deeply loved, we can never lose. For all that we love deeply becomes a part of us." End quote, Helen Keller. So again, what we once enjoyed and deeply loved we can never lose. For all we love deeply becomes a part of us. And, that's just an amazing situation for our life. That's just for us to, have this great gift called life, to have this opportunity to have the control, the self-discipline to look at a situation and go, listen, I'm so sick of it looking at it from this angle. I'm so sick of it, of being angry at it. I'm so tired of being frustrated at it. I'm so sick and tired of whatever it is that's weighing you down. Find a way to release that. Find a way to understand that. Find a way to accept that it happened for you. And until you do that, you're going to be miserable because you're always going to be fighting. You're always going to be suppressing and repressing your emotions. And then things are going to tick it off and you're going to release a little bit of pressure, but you're always going to be silently miserable inside because you're not dealing with it. You can deal with all the symptoms you want in your life, but if you don't deal with the root cause, guess what? It grows back. I have a tree in my backyard. I keep asking the gardeners to cut, and I said, put the stuff on it. Comes back until you put the stuff on it. It's going to come back. So most people are sitting there dealing with the symptoms and not the problems. And that's why I'm the no excuses coach. I just want to acknowledge you guys here. I was just on a roll, but Lynn, what's up, Lynn? It's good to see you. She says, you're my heart. You're my love. Robert's in the house. What's up, Robert? Good to see you. He says, meow. I think that was towards the kitty cat conversation. We got Nelly in the house. What's up? Trisha, good to see you. Big hugs to you. I didn't expect this to be an overwhelming live broadcast by any stretch, but thank you guys for being here because this is just my way of putting a positive spin on everything that I've been through in my life and retrospectively looking at the fact that she's been gone for 10 years. So what does that mean for the rest of us, right? Time is going by like this. Half the year is already over. It's going to be August 1st. It's going to be Christmas. It's going to be 2022. What did you do with the 2021? Right? Life is happening right now. And so many people are wasting those moments. And above all else, from this video and from this time for me doing the special broadcast, I want you to really take to heart. Who do you need to forgive? Who do you need to understand? Take a pen and paper, good old fashioned shit. Write it down. Who do I still have an issue with? Who do I think maybe I have an issue with? And talk to that person. Or write a letter and burn it. Do something to be able to process those emotions. And above all else, if there's something you need to say to somebody or you need to ask of somebody, please do it. Right? I had the liberty of being with my mom right up until the very end. I held her hand. My wife and I were there. We held her hand. She died July 31st at 1:33 in the morning. And literally at 1:36 in the morning, it started pouring rain like crazy. It was nuts. Southern California. So from this experience, I wanted to sit there and look back on those 10 years and provide a different why in my life. And you guys know I talk about the whys a lot. So now my son is almost going to be 5 years old in November. Again, where'd the time go? Holy shit. He's going to be 5. In 10 years, he's going to be 15. He's going to be in high school. What? In 10 years? That's half again what the last 5 years have been. Time goes by, and especially for us older guys, you keep seeing people that are famous and the people that we've known all of our life, all of a sudden they're dying. And we think, what? Dusty Hill from ZZ Top dead. Just all these different people are dying. And it's like, okay. And I personally, I feel, and just being transparent and vulnerable, I feel like I'm on that little thing, we're all going, and then just drop off. Okay. You just drop off. So it's important. Obviously, the drop off is the next setup for our next journey, which I'm not saying negatively because I'm kind of excited about that. Just don't want it to happen for another 50 years. So right now, what I'm doing is I have the leverage to live my life and to do these moments. So I'll be doing more special moments like this because, again, this is a way for me to tell a story to my son. God forbid anything happens to me. This legacy of my mom lives on forever, and the story lives on forever. And I can also sit there and look on my life and put a bow pretty much on the entire situation and be able to say collectively, wow, what a gift. And that's why I'm writing the book. So I'm excited for that. I promised you guys I would read a little bit of that. I didn't think I was going to be going this long. I actually got to do a live show here in a second, or 15 minutes. So here, I'm going to read this from the book. So I'm not putting it on the screen or anything. So pardon me, but so this is about my mom and her live-in boyfriend who ultimately became her husband. In case I haven't said this before, I was truly excited about the opportunity for all of us to be living in the same house. Even though I was only about 6 years old at the time, I remembered more than a few different men in my mom's life before Jim. But now something was different. She seemed happy. She seemed like she would actually smile. Of course, she had nice teeth back then. And like I said before, Jim seemed to be a nice, mellow dude. So here we are in middle-class Orange County, California, ready to play family. At first, I have to admit, it was pretty cool. It did feel like a family at first. Of course, we were all on our best behavior in the beginning. I already told you about my mom, but to allow me to put it in perspective for you, here with she and Jim, mom was super assertive, confident, and dominant. Now picture the opposite, and you have a mild-mannered James Roeder. The mild-mannered part is funny enough and reminds me of my favorite TV shows from back in the day, which was The Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby starring as the mild-mannered David Banner, who, by the way, when provoked enough, turns into the huge, raging, destructive monster. #similarities. As I recall, one of the bigger conflicts, of course, was around the topic of money. They both worked, but Jim was a dutiful husband who came home on Fridays and handed his paycheck to the head of the house, my mom. Come to find out, mom wasn't very good at managing the family purse. And on occasion, the topic provoked Jim to be more assertive than usual. And as time went on, Jim became increasingly more animated and frustrated with my mom for several reasons. So there's a little story right there. There's a little excerpt. Here's a little, I'll just read this. I have no idea what it says. It was September 1975, and I was 6 years old. And with much preparation about what was to come, little Christopher Rausch was getting ready to venture out into the big world by himself. But first, as a matter of priorities, the night before that first day, I had to painstakingly choose my attire for the inaugural experience. Would it be the navy blue toughskins or the black ones? The light blue hot rod shirt or the bright white one with the ocean wave? Then the next order of business was making sure I had my pencils and stuff in my binder. By now, I'd made friends with a kid down the street named Mark Coverdale. He had two younger brothers than him, John and David, both of whom would join in Mark through the ensuing years. Sorry. But anyways, so yeah, just a little bit of the book. I didn't pick those in advance, so if they weren't riveting, oh well. But no, the book is going to be amazing, and I just appreciate each and every one of you again. Love your comments. I'm going to go back and check out the comments, and I hope this resonates with you, and I hope it invites you to go explore some of the pain and some of the potential regrets you might have if you don't have those conversations with people before they pass away. But most importantly above that, know your why every single day. Know that life is happening and unfolding for you. Have faith, have trust, and have skin in the game to be able to get your experience to where it is that you want to go. Invest in a coach. Invest in somebody that's going to grow and challenge you to become the greater version of you that you can become. I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you guys if I had not had my coaches and my masterminds and my mentors and all the people that poured into me and told me when I was crazy, when I should be doing more and more stuff. Yeah. It's just amazing. So I just love each and every one of you. And we got Kellen Ann in the house. What's up, Kellen? Good to see you. Glenda Wright, what's up? And I love you guys. You guys are the misfits for life. And I'm going to end this broadcast now because I'll be going live in 14 minutes with the lovely Pamela Arbery on Rainbows and Real Life. So with that, you guys take care, stay classy. And if you want to connect with me, if you're listening to this, go to www.christopherrausch.com. You can contact me there in any variety of ways. Set up a Calendly appointment. Let's have a free coaching call. Whatever it is I could do to help you, to motivate you to take charge of your life. That's what I'm here for. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you tomorrow night on the Unfiltered Experience at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Cheers.